Today I'm going to demonstrate exactly how to do the slip stitch chain one join that I like to use in all of my patterns. I've often been asked why I do this, and it's because this is the way that my brain works as I design an object. I like to do one layer at a time, one row at a time, almost 3D printing the exact object I'm making. So that means each row needs to have its own finished end before the next one can start again. To do that, you slip stitch chain one. In the instructions, I've tried to make it pretty clear that you slip stitch to the first stitch you made in the row. So right now I'm at the end of a row, and I'm going to insert the hook into the first stitch I made, yarn over, make a slip stitch. That draws the row together and finishes the row. Then I'm going to chain one to raise the hook and the yarn up so that I can start the next level of the crochet work. So then I'm going to do a row just to show you how to slip stitch chain one again. It's important because the way I design takes into account the shift created by the seam of the slip stitch chain one join method. If you want to try crocheting in the round, you are welcome to do that, but I don't endorse it because this is the way that I've designed the pattern to come out, and this is the way that I guarantee the shape will come together exactly as it should. So now that I'm at the end of the row, here's the first stitch I made. You do not crochet into that chain one that you had made on the previous row. You ignore that. You insert the hook into that first stitch, make a slip stitch, you chain one, and your first stitch of the new row will go into the same stitch you slip stitched into. So again, that's how you start the new row. You ignore this seam. It is visible, but I have found that it is not distractingly visible on finished objects. And that's how you slip stitch chain one. I would also like to note that in the stitch count of my patterns and others, the slip stitch chain one are not counted as stitches. They are a join stitch and thus are not counted. So if there are 8 stitches in your row, you should be able to count that number before you slip stitch chain one and verify that you have the number of stitches in the row correctly before you start a new one. So again, I'm at the end of the row. I insert the hook into that first stitch, slip stitch, chain one, and the first stitch of the new row goes right into that same stitch you slip stitched into.